Hello, and thank you for your interest in enrollment as a cattle producer in Idaho's Innovative Agriculture and Marketing Partnership, or IAMP. This video is intended to help cattle producers enroll in prescribed grazing within the IAMP project. To enroll as grazing applicant, go to iamp.uidaho.edu and click the Participant Application button. This will lead you to the application disclaimer page. Please read and acknowledge acceptance of the disclaimer before entering the application portal. If you want to explore the requirements and incentives of prescribed grazing or other conservation practices, click the hyperlinks in the disclaimer for further description. Please do not push your browser's back or refresh button while you're entering the application details. Rather, use the buttons within the application to navigate through the pages. To fill out the grazing application, click the Grazing Application button at the bottom of the disclaimer. If at any point during the application process you need help, click the gold Application Help button, and it will provide options for support from our project support team, including this YouTube tutorial and email support using iamp@uidaho.edu. To start a template email, click the Request Help button located at the top of the screen. The first page of the application collects contact information about the individual or business applying for enrollment in the IAMP project as a cattle owner. Select whether you are filling out the application as an individual or business, and put in the full legal name of the person or business applying. It is important that the legal name on the application matches the name on file at the USDA FSA office if the cattle owner is also the landowner. Additionally, provide a mailing address, an email, applicant's phone number, the county of residence, as well as the name of a person to contact for questions regarding the application. If the cattle owner differs from the grazing manager, add additional contact information of the herd grazing manager responsible. Once completed, click the Next button to proceed in the application process. The next page will be assessing your minimum eligibility criteria as a cattle owner. You need to acknowledge whether or not you are a foreign person or entity according to the USDA's definition. And whether or not the primary cropland producer is receiving payments for prescribed grazing from other federal programs on the parcel of land intended to be grazed. If you don't know the implemented practices on the land your cattle will graze, you can select Don't Know. You then need to provide some information about your cattle operation. The information is not required, but may be utilized by your enrolling partner to assess potential risk and prioritize applicant selection. If any of the following apply, select all that apply. If none apply, select none of the above. The third page, you provide information about land access for cattle grazing. Land utilized for prescribed grazing must be enrolled in at least one additional climate-smart conservation practice. You can read more about these conservation practices by clicking the hyperlinks within the application. You then need to answer some questions about who owns the land you intend to enroll on. Do you intend to graze the enrolled cattle on land you legally own? Do you already have access to land for prescribed grazing? And if you do not have access to land, would you like to be connected with a cropland producer interested in hosting prescribed cattle grazing? Based on the answers to these questions, partners can assess whether or not you need to be paired with a cropland producer where you can graze your cattle. If you do already have a cropland producer in mind, you can put their contact information here. If you plan on grazing on multiple pieces of land by multiple producers, you can add multiple landowners by clicking Add Additional Producer. Next, you need to provide some basic information about your cattle herd. Approximately how many head of cattle you intend to enroll in prescribed grazing. What type of cattle classes are included in your herd? And the months you're interested in grazing. This does not need to be an exact known amount of time, but in general, what months are you interested in grazing your cattle? You then need to read and agree to the producer data requirements. This identifies how your data will be collected through the application and reporting process during the project to achieve project goals. It also allows you to optionally consent to your data being used for research and educational purposes. If you agree to this optional research and educational consent, put your full name as a digital signature and date the application. Next, you're going to identify whether one or more of the primary cattle producers belong to a historically underserved population, according to the IAMP definition, which can be found by clicking the hyperlink. If you self-identify any of the primary producers as a member of a historically underserved population, you will be asked to voluntarily select all the groups to which they belong, as well as acknowledge whether or not your farm fits the definition of a small farm. You are not required to answer either of these questions. You can select prefer not to answer. Answering no or prefer not to answer will not exclude you from participating in the program. Answering yes to either of these questions may give you priority selection by your implementing partner to achieve project goals and milestones. The final screen allows you to choose an implementing partner you might want to pair with in the project. If you have no preference, you can select no preference. If you desire, you can optionally provide us with information about how you heard about the project and provide any other comments in the provided box. Once you've completed your application, you can click Submit. Once you submit your application, a screen will appear letting you know of the success of your application. A green banner will also appear at the top of the screen displaying the same message, and you will receive an email confirming your application. Included in that email is a copy of the disclaimer you accepted at the beginning of the application process. Thank you for your interest in IAMP.